Hey guys, welcome to the Rubin Report. I'm Chief UN Weapons Inspector Dave Rubin. I've got two great guests with me, Erin Foley and Jayar Jackson, and we got a lot to get to, so let's do it. Okay, today is the 12th anniversary of the 9/11 terror attacks. I'm a lifetime New York resident. I was in New York City 12 years ago, and I just moved out of New York, so this is my first 9/11 not being there, and obviously it was the worst terrorist attack we've had in the United States, and there's been all sorts of repercussions that we've been dealing with since then, including war and NSA and Patriot Act and all kinds of stuff. Just this morning I was watching, MSNBC was showing NBC's live footage, and it's really incredible how quickly you can just go back to that place that we were at 12 years ago. It's really, it's something else. So first off, the Freedom Tower is being built right now, and it's actually almost complete. Let's take a look at the image, because it's pretty spectacular. So, you know, the city is coming back. 12 years later, the city seems to be coming back, and the country seems to be coming back and healing. But as I said, a lot of things have changed since then. So I know this isn't the funnest topic that we can jump off to, but how do you guys feel about the whole thing 12 years later? Do the feelings and the rawness of it and everything else sort of disappear as time goes on?
Well, I lived in New York as well, you know, during that time for most of my life. And when you see the footage this morning, I put it on and then I had to turn it off because it's 12 years, but it just feels like yesterday. Yeah. I remember, you know, step by step where I was, coming off the subway. You hear, you know, plane hit the World Trade, and you just think it's like a bumper. Like, you know, so much happens in New York. It's like every single day is so crazy in the news and whatever. I didn't even think anything of it. You know what I mean? You're like, oh God, probably a two-seater hits the side of it. You know what I mean? And then by the time I got upstairs, I was working this day job right by the UN, and then you're like a second plane. It was just, literally when you see the footage, it's like it happened yesterday. You go right back to that. Because you think New York is impervious to like absolutely anything from happening to it, and then it was just minute after minute, just absolute like the worst news imaginable. And then I remember I was on 43rd and First Street, and I didn't know where to go. Like my sister was in Brooklyn teaching, so I'm like, okay, she's okay. My other sister was at she's a social worker. She was at the Armory building. Then they started bringing in the Army into the Armory building, and there's a women's shelter in the ground floor of that building, and she was like, the Army is rolling in with like a tank, and it was the craziest moment of like, you didn't know where to go.
Yeah. As you were mentioning, so you said it brought up memories as if it was just yesterday, even though it was 12 years ago. So on March 17th, because we talk about it, of course, every year on the anniversary, on March 17th, asking both of you, do you feel like you forget sometimes the magnitude? Because you're not thinking about it specifically, but now things like what happened on the MSNBC this morning, they come back and give us a stark reminder about what happened, and now we have to reflect on what our world has become because of it.
So do you mean do you forget about it on just the average day?
Yeah, on whatever day. You know, you may think, oh yeah, it's not anywhere near September, or even when it's with the beginning of September, you think, oh, 10 days from now. You know, you start to think about it again.
I thought you had some sort of St. Patty's Day reference. I was like, isn't March 17th St. Patty's Day? And I was like, I have really fond memories of being totally wasted.
Yeah, exactly.
I threw a random day. I had no idea I even hit another holiday.
Wait, did something happen on March 17th?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I remember one of the things that struck me when I was watching the coverage today was the feeling. There was like a 2-hour feeling once the planes hit and then they realized that the other one hit the Pentagon, that actually there was going to be a massive, like it seemed like the whole country was crumbling at once. Remember? Then a few hours later we realized how horrible it was, but that the institutions of the country were still going to exist. So I think there are certain things that jar you and bring you back to that. Where were you?
I was a junior in school at USC here in LA. So I remember I was at my I rented a house with a couple roommates, and I didn't have a TV in my room, but I always had the radio on at night, just playing random music, just because I need noise. I already lived by 3 hospitals, so that wasn't enough noise already. But so I kind of groggily woke up, and you know, we're 3 hours behind. Yeah. So all this went down at 8 9 in the morning, 7.
Yeah.
Right before 9, right?
Yeah, the first
Yeah.
one right before 9. The second
Yeah.
one fell at 10.
Yeah, so I'm waking up at 6:30, 7 o'clock. And the second one, I didn't see the first one. I was still asleep when that happened.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like my roommates were the type who wouldn't have cable and stuff. So I just had the radio on, and my roommate busts in and he goes, "Do you hear what's going on?" And I'm like, "What? Like, what's going on?" And he goes, "Your radio's talking about it." Like, of course, everything was
Yeah,
preempted
yeah.
and everyone was talking about
Yeah.
it. So we didn't have cable, and I was like, I got to get to some cable news, something that's happening 24/7. And I rushed over to a friend's place that was actually near campus and sat there all day. I obviously had class. It was a Tuesday. I had class, and I was thinking, there's absolutely no way I'm going to class. One of the classes was one of those ones, there's not many collegiate classes that take attendance and then mark it and remember it as if you're in high school.
Yeah.
This was one of them, and I said, you know what? Whatever professor so-and-so is gonna have to be upset at me today because I'm not going anywhere,
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
And it was one of those things that crossed your mind
Yeah.
because people were thinking, some people did go to class.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, other side of the country. And other people were thinking, what if it could happen here? I didn't think that. I'm just thinking we need to figure out what's going on with the country. This is a collective thing now. This isn't just
Oh, yeah.
something that happened where, oh, there was a, a mass shooting in another city and like, oh, that's contained. Nobody really knows how this is gonna affect us. And obviously 12 years later, it still does.